You hear these crazy stories, and it's always someone else, someone else's family. It's in another state. It's not personal.
That was until I got a phone call from one of my kids and
About his
about
grandbaby.
my grandbaby. My kids, and I got to be careful not to use names here, but they went to a doctor's appointment with the grandbaby, and one of the white coats in the room said it was time for, and my kid refused. So the white coat did not like the fact that my kid had refused to my grandchild. So the white coat called somebody else into the room to try to talk my kid into
Pressure them.
and what ended up happening is that doctor and the assistant threatened to call, what's the name of it?
It's CPS or whatever.
Child Protective Service. Every state has a name for these agencies.
But their own statistics state that 83% of all children who are taken by CPS, Child Protective Services, are for unsubstantiated allegations, meaning never should it have happened in the first place. So that imagine anything else in the world where you know you get it wrong 83% of the time and you admit it, but you just keep doing it.
My kids said, well, call them. I'll sit here and wait for them to come. And then they immediately reached out to me to let me know what was going on. And I got to tell you guys, I was so proud that my kid had refused that. I want to play you a video of how ugly this can get. Now, my kid has left the state now. That's why I'm not afraid to do this video. And it's a state where the legislature has passed laws where it's terrifying. And in Massachusetts, they have those same type of laws where they can go in and take your kid if you refuse.
If you refuse this, if you have refused the right they or them. I mean, if you so much as look at your kid wrong, they're no longer your kid because the state can do a better job of raising them.
Guys, when I play you this video of this father, it's about a 4 or 5 minute video, we are going to be forced to edit some of the words they use in this video so that YouTube will not. This guy actually was praying to God under gunpoint that his kids would be okay.
Like, God, if this is my last day, like, please protect my children.
Oh my.
I had just 20 guns pointed at me and my family. We didn't know that was my last day or not. Like,
if you could just repeat what happened with the doctor, please, because this is critical.
okay, so basically, the doctor just said he was going to report us for neglect if we didn't take the K-12 vaccine, which I said no. I looked into it. Not only is it against my religious beliefs, but I don't vaccinate my children. We're holistic, and they're all healthy and strong, and that vaccine specifically gives kids. I don't want to take it, and also we're switching hospitals because every single time that we call in here, it's always requested that we take it. We've already said it multiple times that we will not take this vaccine. Their children, so please give us the paper to sign. And they said, oh, it's okay. But then anytime we went there, they would pressure us. Basically, when we were in that room, pressure us, and that's why the last appointment, my wife didn't even want to go there. She said, can you go there because I don't even want to handle it because they're going to just pressure this vaccine again. So I went to them, and then the last time I went to them, I said, listen, I don't need to show you proof of where they've been because we're switching them, and I don't have to show you proof. My child's healthy. I brought him here myself to be seen. And then he said, well, and then as soon as I said we're changing doctors and we're not taking that vaccine, then his whole, just the way his demeanor, the way he was talking changed. He said, well, where has he been seen? Because we don't have a record. I said, well, I'm changing them. I'll give that information to the new doctor because I'm not going to keep going through this abuse of you trying to force me to take this vaccine for my son, which I've told you many times that it's not going to happen. And he said, okay, well, I'm going to have to file a report as a mandated reporter unless you give me history of your son or unless you take this vaccine. And I said, what? Absolutely not. And I stood my ground, and I told him, call the police right now, call whoever you need to call right now, or check my son out. I'm leaving. And then he got the superior in there. I forget what her name was. She came in there, and she tried to calm the situation down between me and the doctor and I guess explain his side of things. And I said, no, I will not vaccinate my child. And then they said, okay, well, we'll check him. We'll give you the bill of health. And then they did that. They checked him. They gave the bill of health, and then they let us go.
The irony of this story is that you said that the doctor checked out that the baby was otherwise fine. So that's what's really key here.
And then basically, I don't know, a couple of days or weeks from then, the harassment started with DCF.
At that point, you said to DCF, no, thank you. We don't need your services. You leave us alone.
I told them specifically, I don't consent, nor do I want a contract with your agency. Please leave me alone. I mean, I must have said that I don't know how many times, repeatedly saying, I don't want a contract, I don't consent.
So they said they needed to lay eyes on the children. That's an old trick of theirs.
Yeah, they used one child to get to all of them.
We need a home visit. Is that the word they used? Home visit?
Yes.
Okay.
As they
And
were
you said,
banging them.
and you said what?
I said, my children are 100% healthy. I don't consent and I don't contract with you. And I don't want to in the future. Please leave me alone.
Okay. And so then they started surrounding the house and harassing you, and you all felt frightened because, police coming. You said they texted you and you said, leave it in the mailbox. I know what it's about. What did you think it was about?
Well, I thought it was a home visit because they kept doing that for weeks. I thought it was just them just continuing what they were doing.
Well, that makes it even worse. You were never properly served. You were getting away from the heat because you were sick and tired of the harassment, didn't even know about it. I mean, you have a right to travel anywhere in the country with your children.
Yeah.
Get an ex parte judgment that says that state can take care and protection. Maybe in imminent danger, maybe if a child's been harmed, maybe if a child is very, very sick. But in this situation where the doctor confirmed the baby was fine and you know all the other children were fine too, outrageous.
When we brought our son to the emergency room, which is literally the exact opposite of neglect, is like, hey, I don't like the way his breathing sounds. Let me take him to the emergency room. My wife stayed with him overnight there. That doctor is also a mandated reporter. Checked him, made sure he was okay, sent him home the next day. Why didn't that doctor report it? Because he's not neglected. Another thing too that I just is beyond me is just if my kids were truly neglected, and I mean they literally persecuted me to a different state across this country.
And if you go online or you listen to the news, right, the mainstream media in Massachusetts, they make it sound like this family had their kids in protective custody and they went and kidnapped the kids. This family took off to Texas to get away from CPS. They had surrounded their house multiple days with multiple police officers with gunpoints. The mother was hiding in the closet with the children. But don't take it from me. Listen to the dad tell the story.
At no point did they issue a Amber Alert. And I really feel like they did that to protect themselves. Because if my child really was neglected or my children were in imminent danger, why didn't they issue an Amber Alert? Why were 15 to 20 pistols pointed at my children and me? I mean, I literally walked out of the place we were staying, praying to God, like, God, if this is my last day, like, please protect my children.
Oh my!
I had just 20 guns pointed at me and my family. We didn't know that was my last day or not. Like,
I'm astonished that you've been torn apart from your family for this length of time, and I'm shocked at the judge's position of the high bail. But there are a lot of people saying they want to contribute to help you out. So this is just cruel and unusual punishment, unwarranted punishment.
But thank God this man knew his constitutional rights and the fact that you can refuse. Nobody can put anything into you or your children. And I just want to use this as an opportunity to share with everybody possible that you get to choose what goes into your body or your children's bodies. Okay? And it's up to you what you do. I don't care. I don't judge anybody who makes those decisions.
I judge the people that don't allow for freedom to prevail. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Boston is rising. And just as we recently celebrated, just a week ago, actually less than a week ago, the historic 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's ride. Warning, the British are coming. The British are coming. Tyranny is at the door. What you're seeing here, and I'm telling you we've got a big announcement to make, is the opening shot of the Second American Revolution. And we are here to tell the corrupt politicians on Beacon Hill, to tell Maura Healey, to tell the Department of Children and Families, and the Department of Children Protective Custodies in states after states, that your days of running wild and tearing apart families and kidnapping children from good, decent parents is over. It's over.
I think ultimately you have to decide for yourself. Who do you believe? Do you believe trad news that's saying, you know, oh, it was bad parents? Or do you believe the father's testimony of what happened and what he went through? And ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to decide, how do you want to live? How do you want to raise your family? And what kind of lives do you guys want to live? I'm very surprised to hear this happening in a state like Massachusetts, because when I visited the in-laws, these people are not wallflowers. These people are not to be messed with. They're strong individuals. And so how did a state that's known for
throwing tea in the harbor now throwing children in the harbor?
Yeah, and
it's
parents in
absolutely
jail.
horrible. So if wherever you are in this country, check your legislative laws. It doesn't matter Republican, Democrat. This is not about politicians. Politicians on both sides have allowed the country to get to the place we're at right now, and they are in no hurry to fix it. None of them. So remember, we have bodily autonomy and constitutional rights. You have a right to refuse anything that anybody wants to put in you or your family or your children's bodies. So resist. If you feel it important, then resist. You have the right to resist. Get this video out to as many people as possible, especially if you have kids, grandchildren, that live in a state where the legislator body have passed laws that give the state more rights than you do over your children. And just share the video. Get it out to as many people as possible. My kid made the right decision, and I hope your kid makes the right decision too. We'll see you in the next video.